Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Castle Crashers. Had to remind myself what game I'm actually playing. So, we got the 3 items that should let us go to the next level. We also got a sandwich that makes us a giant version of ourselves. And we are getting levels. So, it almost feels like we are maybe at the halfway point of the game. Although it kind of doesn't, to my memory, feel like that's the case. And pirates are coming to attack us. And so me eating the plants at the moment was probably not a smart move. So there is an actual level here in which pirate ninjas are going to take us on. Most of the levels have been extremely linear. These are ninjas using a ancient clone jutsu, I guess is what Naruto called it. Like most of the ninja stories, they've been made up or deeply embellished, or the ninjas themselves were pulling forms of trickery. It's highly unlikely the ninjas did have some form of magic that let them animate or teleport away and replace themselves with a log version of themselves. Although I could see the source of that idea, certainly. Just having a log look like a ninja in the forest, and then when your opponents attack the log, you stab them from behind because they weren't looking for you. This totally, at this point, has forgotten that this was a game about people who crashed a feudal time castle. We're going straight into ninjas now. Clearly there was almost like an ADD 12-year-old that, at least an ADD 12-year-old mentality that was invoked here in this game, and we'll see it go even further in that direction as we play the game, as we'll just run into more and more things that don't really make sense. Now compare this to Deathspank. All of Deathspank 1 takes place in a fantasy medieval time period. All the characters feel realistic. It totally makes sense. And it's not until the spoiler alert for the end of Deathspank, it's not until after you beat the final boss that you enter the teaser for the second game that makes it a World War II, what would be the right word, RPG type looking game. So now we have a shovel, which potentially means that throughout the entirety of the game there are places to shovel. That being said, if there's something here, the shovel, it's pretty tight on the locations. So I'm kind of guessing you don't want to do that. And this guy is gonna eat me to death. Giant sandworm. I don't see really the point of hitting BBB so much, and that opens up the game a little bit, that you would want to go back and play it some more, but not really a lot. So we are now done with these scorpions are one-hit kills. That's interesting. Maybe I finally did get my damage up high enough. 17 damage really shouldn't be killing these guys though. And I kind of need to let them hit me. Let's see. 6 damage. Yeah. I think these scorpions aren't really enemies per se. Though I think they are just kind of there for no reason. Yeah, and it really doesn't feel like there's a need to make me tap the B button extra. There was a sand pit I nearly fell in, so we'll have to be careful on that. And starting to see about how close one has to be. It feels like at this halfway point we've gotten a reset on the danger, because some of these other previous bosses were way easier to kill. Or these guys are way easier to kill than some of the bosses that were happening before. And I don't know if maybe the weapon I have does just a massive amount of damage or what. Now this guy looks like he's going to be armored. Here we've got a guy that tries to get around us, so we can't really pull off everything we'd like to do. Man, you have to be so tight. How does this game play with 4 players though? 4 players all fighting for that one ruby with the shovel, or does one person become the shovel person? And we were just introduced to one of these guys. It feels kind of ridiculous that the next battle would just be two of them. Like that is lazy game thinking. If anything, what they should have done is they should have scaled up a scorpion to be 2-3 times as big and have it have 2-3 times the health, and then from that point you can you could bring back the scorpions as a viable enemy instead of what they are right now. And then after defeating the giant scorpion, maybe you throw 2 of the other kinds of enemies. The problem here still is that either you're gonna start playing this game looking for a lot of food on the ground, or you're still gonna have to use a lot of potions. So take your pick there. And potions means gold, and these little gems, while they're nice, are not really huge caches of gold by any means. Here's another enemy who seems to be a bomb throwing enemy. And those bombs don't really play in well. So I'm gonna have to be careful to not die, which has been a consistent problem in this game, is that you'll get level ups and you'll make a little bit of progress, but you still will end up dying and having to do the levels 2 or 3 times, which that's really no way to design your game to play. Again, maybe this is a lot easier with 4 players, and maybe it's just really unbalanced as a single player game. But at a certain point, the question almost becomes, is a older game like this, this is not something that just came out in 2020, this is 5 to 10 years old, is there really going to be a major player base still playing Castle Crashers? Or do you have to convince 2 to 3 of your friends to hop on to this old game, buy this old game? Ooh, I have no potions. And yeah, I don't have potions, and I don't have any way of getting potions. And the food's not helping much either. So even if we get to a boss fight, we found an animal. In the background, there's a glowing pyramid. So I have to kind of avoid getting hit quite a bit here. Unless this giraffe can do something for me, which there we just saw a alien in the background put a cap on the pyramid and then fly off. And now we're getting arrows. So I think if I was to guess, the giraffe might be a symbol of height. So I might be getting slightly higher. But we're also getting hit by some foreign contender. Alright, let's do this. And it just kills you. Okay. So we're now capable of just walking this direction for whatever that's worth. Let's go back this way and see what this guy does. It's kind of pointless to have to come back here. Giraffe lets you level up faster. Absolutely. And then he has to be the pick, doesn't he? And then we are looking for something that does the most amount of damage, which, since we don't see the stats of what we have, this is attack +1 and defense +3. That seems pretty good. Well, this would be attack +5 and speed -2. Attack +5, defense -2. So there's probably some balancing out. And have we seen anything on the ground as far as digging that's particularly suspicious? Yeah, I just want to do more damage, and I don't mind having a slower attack. So I was wrong about the reaching of high areas. It still sucks you can't walk to the right. There. We did find out that the castle keep sells potions for cheaper. You can leave by the right on that side. Yes, stats wise, as we level up, we will, I guess, want to try to put some more into magic to see if maybe we can get a stronger magic attack, but also maybe just more in strength, because you're going to end up doing strength and just base attacks more than anything else. Anyways, our defense is at the maximum. Speed in archery, not a major focus. There seems to the left like there's only 3 more collectibles, so we may very well be approaching the halfway point of the game. This might be the end of it. I guess maybe there was an element of maybe there's an element that could be done as far as oh yeah, I remember now. There's a trick you can kind of do with this. Where? We found a boot, which didn't do anything. Like there's this trick you can do. If you get the spinning attack and you're actually hitting things, you can work your way higher and higher relatively slowly, so you're not going to run into a major issue. Man, these guys seem like they they hit me before I can hit them. Is that literally the difference between having... So if you do this, you can kind of avoid getting killed and do a massive amount of damage, because it seems like it shifts your angle. And we're about to level up, so we now have to take on these same guys. It pretty much is the whole game. It's like take 2 turns, take 2 tries to beat every level. Yeah, this guy's too fast for me. Yeah, I'm not sure if my weapon here is good. It might be worse off than it really should be. It still kind of sucks that you don't go to the stats menu when you level up in the level. It does make this terrible scenario where you pretty much have to die if you needed to level up to beat a level. So you very possibly are going to start some levels without a chance, or a good chance at least, of being able to succeed, just because you need the grind. Which the grind in this game, even though this is trying to be an abbreviated experience, it's actually still pretty bad. And I think if I went deep into playing a lot of RPG games, I think that would be a complaint that I would have to levy on a lot of RPG games, is that there would just be a lot of grind that feels unnecessary. A lot of stuff that is not really required. I'd rather have a single big sub-boss battle with one of these guys that took 30 or 20 minutes and had a strategy and a gameplay mechanic behind it, than having to fight 10 or 20 of them and them being all the same. Which is kind of what we're running into right now. Now that we can increase our level up, I also have to question if we're not going to just run into a major maximum level situation. It might very well turn out to be the case that I will just have to exit to the menu, find out that I can play as other characters via the menu without really losing progress as far as which level I'm in, and then even if my red character is at max level, it might turn out that I need to play as some other character that I've unlocked, which I've unlocked one character via an arena, and we've seen 2 other arenas, which to me implies that there is a very good chance there are at least 2 other characters that can be unlocked, and doing arenas aren't just a opportunity to get a lot of gold, which honestly they probably should be just opportunities to get a lot of gold, because I don't know what the real opportunities to get gold are. Otherwise, like, it's such a slow experience any other way. We could theoretically play an early level, and I guess that might work. So you can look back in the background and see the glowing pyramid. Now the glowing pyramid is getting covered up, which that again just brings in this weird confusion. Deathspank definitely did it better to just have the main story being a world that you could grow accustomed to and learn to love. In this game, since each level is pretty drastically different from the previous one, there isn't really a Castle Crashers universe that interests me. Right. And now we have aliens, and they're getting dropped out so that I can then get higher. What we want to do is get into that attack pattern, which, if that wasn't their intention with the attack pattern, it definitely seems to be. We're almost done, so I'm not gonna die unless it decides to do a whole secondary phase, which it might, or this may just be the sub-boss. Killing these aliens and getting red blood kind of returns to the weirdness. Just a second boss fight, literally back to back. It seems weird, to say the least. I'm stuck in the ground. Like, I would expect more cartoony violence elements here, and not just red blood and gore. So they couldn't even do the alien spaceships early? Well, what's interesting here is this isn't a boss really, because it didn't have a boss bar. They wanted me to get abducted so that we're in another level. How many levels did we really finish? So here we have who I can only assume are the developers of the game, and now we're in a sci-fi alien universe. I was not joking when I said this game goes places, but it really doesn't work well going places. It seems almost like, by modern standards, what they did is they made a small indie game, and they wanted to try out some different characters, and different locations, but they didn't really know how to do that. So they didn't know what kind of game they were actually even gonna make. There you go. Let's see if we can. Nope, I cannot use magic because it's too slow. So this is kind of a great example of what happens when there's too many enemies on the screen. Of course, if you had 4 people really playing hardball here, this really wouldn't be much of a challenge, and it's not even much of a challenge right now. We're getting gold coins, which even that doesn't really make sense. Why would aliens have the local currency? And we're getting food, which is cool and all, but I don't know if I'm supposed to try and get up to this height, because it doesn't really feel like we can do that. Maybe we can. Maybe they are trying to throw enough enemies up at me so that I can get up and hit the alarms. Either that, or we are simply supposed to kill 100 aliens, and they gave us actually 100 there. I'm not sure if that actually is the case, but we definitely can't reach that creature. And so now we've got a super strong alien sitting on the toilet, curling iron. And he just runs right past us and smashes and then ejects. And so I guess we are now supposed to be ejecting. Ah. 30 seconds. Do we have enough time? Or are we just gonna get blown up? Yep. 10 seconds. Through this maze. And it didn't make it. Did we make it? No, not really. And we just immediately attack the aliens. I guess this is maybe a joke on ancient aliens that are believed by some theorists that they created the pyramids. This is the second point in the game where we've been allowed to ride an animal, which is a cool concept, but like every other part of this game, it's not fleshed out enough or used enough. It would be ideal if you could start with a mount in every level and then lose it by the end of the level. We'll just automatically lose it at the end of the level. And if this game was going to have animal, pets, and mounts, those feel like those should have been the same concept. I would have much preferred every mount being rideable or every pet be rideable and have some special ability that they also do. Like there's kind of nothing that happens when I hit the right trigger. Okay, he does spit. So when I hold the right trigger and shoot with the Y button, he will spit, and feels like there might very well be an achievement for doing that, but that's super slow. Oh, it doesn't even have anything to do with the right trigger, he just spits when you hit Y anyways. So there is no like magical ability this mount has. This is slow. We're back to having enemies that are super slow, pains in the butt. But we're also so leveled up that while this is more fun because of the scorpions, it by far would be a smarter move to simply get off the creature and just attack these guys. And the creature doesn't even run particularly faster. I guess we won't see anything buried in the sand. That feels like that should be a chase sequence. But we didn't even get an arrow telling us to chase. And you gotta be careful of the sand pits. I didn't attack and yet it still destroyed this. A lot of reused assets here. This game would be in danger of being called an asset flip game by modern standards because of just how varied it looks without having a logical theme in or a consistent theme and tone to the universe. I imagine this isn't really asset flipping as much as it is just a game producer not having a vision, and so, or just really terrible negotiating with the publisher or something like that. But yeah, the idea that every level or every 2 or 3 levels takes you to one of many cliched areas that we've seen 100 times before. It's pretty bad. I would have much preferred to simply have been in the medieval universe and flesh that out. Take The Witcher 3. Here we have a giant pooper scooper or sand scoop. Take your pick. I think the idea that's going on here is that this is a that the entire sand desert is just a giant litter box for the cats. I don't want to leave after defeating these guys, so I don't know how to do this. Like, I think to get that, I have to do something. Now, I needed to use a potion and nearly messed myself up badly if I hadn't used the potion. This guy seems to have just a lot of defense and not any kind of knockback happening to him. And seeming complete immunity from magic, or I didn't hit him. So let's take out these other guys and see if maybe there's something we can do. They seem almost programmed to try and get me to try and get me to do damage or throw me out the door, which I guess a guard might just have the goal of throwing a character out the door. Like, that's not gonna do anything. Yeah, the magic will work somewhat, but you have to line it up. And they kind of have to walk into it. So, yeah, this doesn't feel well played, well designed. Now, what is this experience if you have 4 people playing and there's 2 enemies on the screen? Probably pretty easy, because then you could have them always chasing after one guy that's running away while the other 3 guys are attacking them from behind. Yeah, this definitely feels like a major difficulty spike for a single player that you wouldn't really run into even if you just had 2 people. And these guys have a ton of health, obviously, because I'm back to... Let's see if maybe we can kill these guys. Let's hope we don't take too much damage. These guys don't even really feel like they are trying to hit me. They seem like they're just trying to stay alive. There's another potion. Finally. Does it really make for a better experience now that there's only one guy? Not really. There's really no even telling how much damage this guy has. So now it's just down to me and this guy, which means I can now play a game of run and seek, hide and seek, or closer to a game of catch, where I'll just run in circles, much like how you had to run in circles a lot in Deathbank. We haven't had to do that too much in this game, but in this case I am definitely having to run in circles and wait till my energy recharges and then hope I get a good lined up shot, which is a bit of an if, and then see if I can hit him, because I've got nothing else that I can do. I mean, I could shoot him and get one shot off, but if I turned around and shot him like that, even that is incredibly slow. Man. Again, 2 players doing this even would work so much better. So it feels like in a single player experience you need to probably quadruple the amount of damage you do. Like that would explain why so many of these characters feel like they have just a massive amount of health inside of them, is because they probably are designed specifically to have 4 characters. Let's see, if I go back now, can we do this? Or did we have to bomb? I wouldn't be surprised if we have to bomb. Yeah, we can't. We can't go back. So I would need a bomb, and I don't have a bomb. Well, that sucks. But at least I didn't have to fight those guys over again. Seems like we convinced 3 out of 5 of those guys to not come around again. Leaving us with just this guy. Which that's helpful. I wonder if perhaps I should just not fight these guys at all and instead just let them shoot a single arrow and then run off. But I imagine if they are supposed to be people that you fight, then I wouldn't be surprised if they just add to a large group of enemies you have to fight at the end of this level. But yeah, if the idea is that at the end of every level you fight all the enemies that you allowed to run away, that really isn't a concept that has been well established in previous levels. And so I don't feel like that would be an obvious gimmick. And you are kind of in a weird position with this game where you kind of want to kill everything, or you have to kill everything anyways. So instead of abbreviating the game and getting rid of the grind, they managed to make the grind mandatory, which is even worse an idea. A lot of RPGs, I would be super happy with the idea of potentially only playing the boss fights and just having a skip battle button. I don't feel like too many people come to RPGs for the time wasting. Maybe they did in the old days. Certainly when you're talking like an NES era RPG, those games were desirable to be as long as possible because the games were expensive, and the idea of getting more than say 2 or 3 games once a year for Christmas was very unlikely to happen. But in 2020 modern year argument, games are pretty much free. You can get a new game for free even if it's garbage. And so games don't have to be specifically long. Alright, so here we're gonna hit the ball and then win as many points as possible. Playing volleyball, which that's an interesting idea, certainly, but it's not really helping. I guess we're going to 10 points. And so now I've got a treasure map. And that's the end of the level. So if he was going to have more characters on his side helping him, I don't feel like that's the case. And then they made that big guy, which I think his body model is probably the same body model we've seen before. For the giant beetles. I think we only leveled up one, so I'm gonna go 1 on speed and 1 on magic, and then I'm gonna just try to get everything balanced, because that seems like that's where we're gonna go with this. And with the treasure map, that revealed a new area, which seems like we can go everywhere. But we need to now come back and see what weapon we have. We have a weapon that seems to do no damage at all. Well, or it just does 1 damage. This one seems to have a special head cracking effect. Interesting. Let's see. So this does 3, but minus 2 to magic, plus 2 to defense. So it gives you 5 positive for 2 minus, versus this, which is just 4 positive in general. So that's still a better weapon. 2 speed might be smarter if we could do something else. But we can't. So here. Can we exit to the map now? And will that keep the same weapon that we have equipped? I think it did. And feels like we could buy this weapon even though we already own it. So that puts you in a weird position. And then Thieves Store. We already purchased that. And we'll buy some bombs. Nothing in the campfire. Apparently not. Then we have a church store over here. I think we already own one of those, and we can't afford that, and definitely can't afford that. So we still don't have enough gold. Definitely feels like there's more going on, though. More stuff that could be found, could be purchased. Fairly certain we have this, but why is this labeled as a 10? Does that just mean it's a level 10 weapon? I guess it does. And can't afford that, but we will take some sandwiches, because clearly you don't pick up those and get to use them anywhere. Let's see if we can figure out where that cave was that I saw something. I think it's past the abandoned mill. Rapid ride. No. Catfish. Tall grass. Pisparellos. Let's go in here and this is the big section. So if we go back this direction, which in theory is a different area. Yeah, there should, I think, be something here. Let's go and see what this is. A new weapon and some gold. And I think we won't bother to keep that. And there probably was another point that we ran into. See how these guys actually work as far as enemies. They really aren't just cannon fodder. They still take a decent amount of damage. And it does seem like you can kind of work your way backwards. Interesting. Still taking a lot. It would be questionable how much gold you really get from all of this. It seems like you get the same amount of gold, not anything extra, and it seems like you are not really having any major XP increase for doing all of this. Just play a whole level backwards. Feels like there might be an achievement around that. Unfortunately, again, you're just not going to get all the achievements because they require 4 people to play, and if you don't get all the achievements on Steam, then the game doesn't really highlight that as an accomplishment, so it's not really worth it to try to get any of the achievements on Steam. Camo, I had to roll over. And even though you're mashing a decent amount of buttons there, it's not a great experience. Hey, I just found a new weapon. And that's nice and all. But we made it all the way to the end of the level. So exit to map. Lose any unsaved progress, but then it immediately saves. Games are really bad about that. Let's try the Thieves Arena. There's a little jaguar. The references to Star Wars kind of stopped. Yeah, if this really is a case that 5 people worked on this game, it feels very much like 5 different people had 5 different inputs about what they wanted the story and feel of this game to be, and they probably had one artist working together. Take a look in the audience here of these characters. There's no cats on this side, by the way. Like, those peasant characters, not really playing any role. And we're back to a situation where we're just getting knocked down enough that either I need to use my block, which doesn't seem like it's really working, or I need to double jump up and spin, which really is the only solution that we're going to run into that will work. These guys are programmed to very easily just line up on the left and right side of you and make you suffer. And a dash move or just a miss, like honestly, a misfunction in an RPG is not a terrible idea. In an action RPG, it would be a little weird, but what you usually do in that case is you just have it where it hits you and does no damage, and then it says the word miss above your head, or deflect, which a deflect ability would be helpful. Yeah, hopefully we're not fighting a bunch of these guys, but I think we're just gonna fight a bunch of these guys. How can we fix this? I think I've probably just dropped the ball by having too much of a focus on damage, when there must be more of a focus or more of a desire for the characters to focus on speed. The fact that I have to try and kind of what feels like a glitch, this is probably an intended method, but this feels more like I'm just manipulating the game to get the character that shouldn't be in the air to then stun lock him into a aerial attack like a beat 'em up game. You usually don't see this in RPGs where you're stun locking characters in aerial attacks. Even in the well, I don't know about the Final Fantasy games. Maybe there is some of that happens where you knock somebody up and then do 20 attacks on them. So it seems like we're only gonna fight these guys, and they have two variants, but a lot of the enemies don't even have two variants. It's just one type of attack. Also kind of questionable whether we will run into an arena that has every single kind of enemy in it, because it's kind of silly if bats showed up. It'd be kind of silly if scorpions showed up. Come on. And this is just too long. And Castle Crashers constantly has that as a problem. I guess they just wanted to make sure that it was over 5 hours. Again, this may very well have been a contractually obliged game that when it first came out, that it must last at least 5 hours. Otherwise, I don't know why you stretch so much. I would have easily taken scissors to half of the combat encounters and said, hey, we don't need 3 fights of the exact same enemy in a row. They had to have felt this, particularly when they were game testing the game and would have had to play it multiple times through, even in a single day. That they had to have had a feeling that it was just repetitive. Where if you compare it, this to like Final Fantasy, which is maybe not a fair comparison by any means, but I think most Final Fantasy fights have impact and feeling to them. At least the boss fights do, where even the boss fights here just feel like any kind of random generator could have decided you're going to fight this number of characters with this amount of health and this amount of attack, and they're not going to have any special attack or rhythm to it or any weak spots. It's kind of the difference between a game like Punch-Out and actually playing a boxing simulator. Every single enemy in the Punch-Out series has some kind of weakness or strategy to them. The idea of playing an RPG game without really needing or requiring much of a strategy is kind of silly. It's not what I want, certainly. Oh, speaking of what I don't want, I was about to die. I had not been paying attention to my life, and these guys are certainly wrecking me. But I'm only doing maybe 4 or 5 damage in the air, and when I come down from the spinning attack, I'm kind of only doing 1. So these guys, I suspect, have somewhere between 50 and 100 health. So I'm potentially slowly going to get the guys lower down in number. So what I have to train myself to do is do at least 1 power attack on the way down to knock the people down. So we get some confetti, and he's pointing. And now we've unlocked a new character, which I don't know how that really helps us. We don't have any gold. Feels like there should be something that was more expensive than it should have been. I don't want to waste a sandwich to go this direction, because I don't think that's the right way to get through this. And I don't think a bomb. Yeah, it just seems like there's an invisible wall stopping you from going any further in that direction. So yeah, I don't know how you get over to those locked sections. The industrial castle, perhaps a second time? That would be a hassle. The volcano. We have a volcano arena, which is definitely not something I want to do. Let's see for a second if this changed anything. Well, if the King's Arena has giant cats and nothing else does, then I kind of wonder if the king is obsessed with giant cats. You'd think the king would have been more of a character and somebody that had an interesting spin on things. Just about now we are able to, just pressing X, kill most of these guys in 2 or 3 hits. So we are potentially at the halfway point with these guys. Of course, we may start having to do a spin and a ground attack, just because of them starting to attack faster. And for safety's sake, I'm doing this arena a second time, and we'll see if that unlocks anything new. I suspect the answer is no, but maybe it'll give us a lot of gold, and then we will finally have a place that we can easily know where to go to get gold. Otherwise, I don't really know why they didn't just mark off the arenas as not accessible a second time. At least with a small warning pop-up would be fine. I could see wanting people to be able to replay this if they were going to do that, but unless you're just trying to grind for levels, there's not a good reason to do this a second time, at least as far as we can tell right now. And we are just about to level up. So if we don't level up by the end of this boss fight, that means we're getting either no experience, which I would almost have to assume we're getting no experience if I'm not leveled up by the time we hit the end of this boss fight, or we are getting an incredibly small amount of experience because these guys are so weak, which then again would destroy the point of really letting somebody play this a second time. You're still not one-hit killing these guys in a consistent manner. You're maybe 2 or 3 hit killing these guys. And if I'm doing 17 damage, that means I would need to get my damage up to 2 or 3 times from that point. Alright, so he's doing the throw up the horns head rocking section. And that literally gave us nothing. Well, that sucks. It feels like we probably are not going to run into a key that would open the vault back here until we either have all the pets or find a key specifically. I mean, I could try this and use a sandwich on it. Yep, that's not going to work. If it was going to work, it would have prompted me before this point. So there might be an argument to go back and use the flying Angry Bird character, who literally does just look like an Angry Bird, but I guess the Angry Birds are also based off of birds, so that's not super surprising that there might be some overlap. Yeah, this has some special ability on it that might be interesting, but then there's no enemies around here to even test it on. So we collected some more weapons, and this might just be a better weapon to use. Although there's really no reason to not stick with that, unless we just want something faster. Kind of wish there was something that would increase your speed and do something else. And yeah, I didn't mean to hit that. I meant to use the shovel. But now we've wasted another sandwich. Take note, in such an abbreviated experience, being able to waste gold is kind of a game killer. And by the way, we did not level up, so I can only assume that the arenas don't allow you to gain experience at all. That is definitely no fun to potentially waste gold when clearly there are things you want to buy. So let's try something crazy here. We gotta experience this. We gotta experiment with this idea. Well, if we do this, and then we go back in here, we could probably collect this. There we go. It took a couple of bombs. And then exit to map. And so we get it to save. We'll just go see what this new cat does. What would the cat do? Increases your strength and agility, but you can't look at your stats really, so it's probably just one plus strength, 1 plus agility. Alright, let's save now. And I'm gonna hit exit game. And hopefully this doesn't just take us to the exit the entire game and takes us to the main menu. Yeah. I want to see for a brief second here, if we go to local game, if we go to Castle Crashers, I mean I guess we've seen arenas, so I can pick this character or this character or this character that I've unlocked or this character that I've unlocked. We've unlocked more than I remembered. Or we could pick this guy who's level 25. So it does kind of feel like you get into this level, this gameplay style where you would potentially just kind of waste your time. And I am assuming in this arena, instead of just fighting the same guys over and over again, they're now going to throw out more guys. He's dealing 4 damage instead of 17. It leaves you with the feeling that this arena is pretty much exactly the same as the previous arena, and it's unlikely that if I was to beat this arena I would get anything for the main game or unlock anything at all. And this would be super boring if we just clear out the arena with each character via this quick access menu and it doesn't do anything for you. Clearly we're not getting any experience. So we kind of, what we need to do is kind of let it kill us. We'll give it the old college try. But yeah, these guys are about to defeat me just because my level's so low. There we go. Again, what is the experience like there when you're playing with different numbers of people, 4 people instead of 3? So then the next question is, if we select this guy and jump in, are we in the main game? Or are we just starting all over again? I don't get it. I don't get why you would want people to do this over and over again. Even if this was supposed to be like the beginning and then it quickly jumps you out. Let's see. Can we exit to map and see what this does if we do this? Yes, you can exit to map, but no, it does not in any way help you. So yeah, I'd even forgotten he stole that crystal. There's kind of nothing around that story. So is there perhaps a beneficial reason that you might want to play as a character you've unlocked. Would they perhaps level up faster? Perhaps maybe they have a stronger base attack so that the default for Castle Crasher characters, even at max level, can't be as strong as like this guy. Well, I guess the way to test this is right now we're doing 4 to 6 damage. If we exited the game and we picked a character who is a base character, so we'll just go with the green guy, and we jump into the game. Again, sorry for all these loading screens. He's throwing up the horns and head banging too, so it doesn't even make it feel like the characters are specifically that unique. Yeah, this little band and the peasants don't come back and play a role in the game. That kind of sucks. There's a decent amount of setup here that is completely forgotten as each level takes you further and further away from this. This does feel like I potentially have more. Like, I have a shovel, I have a bow and arrow, and it feels like I might have a better weapon. And this guy is just doing 4 to 6 damage also. So either everybody has always done 4 to 6 damage, or my level up on the other characters just applies to the other characters. There definitely is a level of insanity though. A just total and complete level of insanity that you would have more and more characters unlock so that you could play the same game over and over again when you're really offering nothing as far as a replayability factor in the game, and you're also not really explaining what this does, and even if I move the mouse over it, it's not telling me. And animal statistics, like maybe if I spent the entire effort to get through this section and get to the next level, maybe things would unlock at that point, but I don't think so. I think they literally just want you to play the game all over again, and that doesn't make sense. It might have made sense if you had 4 people and if you had a very limited number of games that 4 players could play at the same time, which in all fairness, even on PC, split screen 4-player co-op isn't really a thing, but that still doesn't mean anything. There's 100% Orange Juice, which is a Mario Party game that I think you could play 4-player on that. Tabletop Simulator, you probably can do 4-player split screen on that. There's probably some Monopoly games and Hasbro games in general, board games that you can play 4-player on. So you aren't completely devoided on the idea of having something that 4 people can play. The Jackbox Party Pack has created a very nice solution for 4 or more people to play on one computer screen, and it works very well simply by having the one main player playing on the screen and then all the other players playing on their cell phones, which definitely, the assumption that everybody would have a cell phone couldn't have been made when this game came out. But what this game feels like it's offering is kind of the equivalent. I feel like you couldn't have died there also. It feels like what you're doing, and the price went up, I think. Yeah. The only thing I could imagine to do is just put everything in speed and see how that worked. You have to collect the other elements. It really does make the feeling that you would only really want to play this multiple times in the same way that you might on a rare occasion want a 4-player version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade machine. I can't use this until I'm level 10. Ah, I see how this plays. So in the first playthrough you unlock enough to somewhat expedite the process for the next player, but not enough that they can just take the most powerful weapon and do what they will with it. So these level 5s clearly won't work, whereas a level 1 would work. This would be faster for the -1 defense magic, where this would be more damage for speed. This would be defense and speed -1. Might be the best we've got. Or we could try the Pronginator, which I assume is what that is. The attacks you actually do are the same. You still would have to play the whole game though, so it doesn't really help you. Well, yeah. Seems like there's some weird decisions being made in this game. I think the reason you can kind of see the reason why this didn't turn into a beloved team of Ninja Turtle type characters that people loved is the fact that there's simply just nothing different between any of the knights, and they become immediately de-emphasized in the game as soon as you unlock some other characters, and the gameplay concept here just seems completely ridiculous that the average player would want to play such an abbreviated short game that doesn't have very rewarding of an experience, not once then twice, but then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. That's really the experience you would have here if you wanted to level everything up. At minimum, we have 7 characters, 7 entire game playthroughs, or at least until they've been maxed out. Also questionable, what happens if 4 players are playing? Do they get your other characters? Could I be the big brother and then let the little brother play as a level 25 copy of my character? Or can I only play as my characters and he gets a level 1 version of the red character? Because then the game gets even worse at that point, as far as the idea of maybe a little brother that can't really play games but you still want to play with them. And it would be pretty bad for the older brother in that scenario too, because he'd be playing as a level 1 character just hoping to very quickly power level up to level 25. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.